Hey, how's it going? So I know I made an announcement, which I now regret doing, that I was going to cut down on doing this. And, yeah, I guess that just needed to be said. But, I did and do have a task in mind that I wanted to accomplish before like doing this video again, doing these videos again. But since I decided to do that, I've had so many things that I could have come on and talked about that I really was like feeling like you should, and I did once, and I'm here again now. So, but the reason why I decided to kind of try to drop out was because it's just energetically really tiring right now. And the election is tomorrow, thank goodness, although it's not going to be over tomorrow. But hopefully, like, some pressure will release. But my thing was, I pulled some cards yesterday just for myself because I wasn't planning on doing a video. But this is what I have been doing for a little while now, is taking the deep dive. And like I was talking about troughs in the ocean, the surfing term of the space between waves, but also a trough basically in whatever iteration describes a declivity, a depression, a space below the surface. And so this seemed appropriate. The subtitle on here is Diving into a Task. And so the task that I have in mind, I'm having a really hard time getting started on it. It's, I guess, a procrastination thing, which is not really something I've ever really had a problem with, but, and I didn't say it out loud. I swear my phone is just reading my mind now, but I was thinking, man, why am I procrastinating so hard on this stuff and trying to get to it the obvious ways? Like, what is my problem? What is your emotional malfunction that's preventing you from doing this thing that's, I mean, it's pathetically easy. It's anyway, I have to read a book. It's a very slim volume, very slim. It's got more stuff in it than it needs, in my opinion, as a writer. However, I've been trying not to stress on the fact that I have started it. I am reading it. I'm just going very slowly with it. And I plan to read it a few times. Hopefully, after I get through it the first time, it'll go faster. And it's instructions to start a new proposition for myself. Just a new, I guess, venture would be a word to use. Something that I wouldn't normally pursue, and probably that's to do with the procrastination. But that was my mindset of even just stopping for a while and just, you know, because I've had like 3 years, and I really have to, every time I start to talk about it, I have to stomp on my inner tongue and say, don't say waste, say spent, because it wasn't a waste, but I spent around 3 years investing my energy and interest and just getting to know this person. And it started one way and turned into a bunch of other stuff. And what it turned into, I mean, bonus if it happened, but the way that it happened is not a bonus. It's the whole thing has just been confounding and perplexing, and I just want to be done with it. So, and I hope I have done with it. I took some steps, and I know I feel like I don't want to even mess with it anymore, because I just feel like, again, I spent all this time on this person, so that was draining, you know. The aftermath of it, what I'm going through right now, is also draining. Like, I barely feel like doing stuff. Although, I mean, I am still just like, I'm not like laying down and, you know, like yesterday I went to the store to pick up a money order for my rent, and when I got to the store, the pin on my debit card that had worked 2 days before that, they're all, never heard of it, who are you? And I wore out all my pin tries on everything at the store that I could use to access my money, so I had to go all the way back home and change my pin and go back. And I don't live that far from the store. If you look at it in terms of blocks, the store is 3 blocks from here, but all of the blocks are long, so it's not as close as it sounds. And so, also, I don't have a car. I'm not like zipping down there in my car and hopping in and out. No, it's either riding one of my bicycle things or taking my motorized wheelchair, which means I'm exposed to all of the elements, which are all happening right now. Now, in the area I live, fall is when physical weather starts to happen. So I went all the way down there and then came all the way back. And let me tell you, the reason why that's a big deal is because the other thing that I've been doing while I've been laying low is trying to recuperate from a summer of... I didn't even get as active as I would have liked to have been, because I had to wait so long for parts for the... Actually, both of my bikes were at any given uneven time, one or the other weren't working right, and I couldn't use it. But after the brief summer that it is brief in this area, well, scratch that. It used to be brief. The whole way the weather is now is completely different from when I moved here. 1994 is when I moved here. So yeah, it's a completely different proposition. But anyway, like I was saying, I'm exposed to the elements, so that doesn't do me any good. And I'm also in this recovery period. I know I have to use the little bike sometimes because it's fun, it's useful, it suits my needs in every way, except for it physically hurts my body to use. So it's kind of a catch-22. And then, like, after the summer of activity, everything just hurts. Like, everything, even if I didn't use it, it's all, shut up, stupid, I'm hurting. It's what we're going through. And I'm wondering if that's not also part of, like, the whole ascension thing that's happening to everyone and everything within reach of sunlight. I don't know, it could be. So, I mean, I'm not, like I said, I didn't, like, just, like, open up my coffin and go lay down. I'm trying to do some things. And then just now, before I started doing this, I see this thing, and it's like, hey, I know you're trying to, like, keep it on the mellow, but, don't worry about pursuing that money thing. Don't stress out about that. That's just gonna come to you no matter what you do. And that ended, and I was like, well, dang, should I pursue the other thing or not? But I figure I'm doing it so slow. I mean, the period of fortune may pass before I get through what I need to do to make that money stream happen. And of course, that's what it is. I mean, that's, I think, what a venture refers to. So anyway, that it wasn't like it was a huge weight on my shoulder, but it feels nicer to not have to feel. I guess I was just putting more emphasis on it than need be. Anyway, so the reason that I'm here actually is none of that stuff. Is because I was doing one of those things that I like to do that just makes me happy, and I feel like it raises my vibration because my ears start ringing. And so I'm watching this YouTube show, and it's called, I believe the channel is called The Watchtower. Write down to link that. I actually wrote it down, but that paper is not in front of me, and I probably will miss it and forget to link. So, and that channel talks about animated TV shows and movies. So, animated movies, and they're based on comic books, the ones that come on paper, the original source material of these shows and comics. And the thing I was kind of caught my attention today was that he was having I guess you could say issues with canon, because the comic books and the animated shows and the movies are not all necessarily, let's just say, on the same timeline. They may have the same characters. They may be the evil version of those characters, though, or some other variant situation. So, he was kind of like having continuity issues, and asking often on his channel, is it canon? And I'm like, who cares? It made me think of something my mom used to always say when we'd be watching some show and it wouldn't make sense, and we'd just be like, what the fuck? And she'd just go, it's in the script. And it's like, it probably was, and they probably know it doesn't make sense either. And that just kind of made it easier to resign to, I guess, that it's in the script. It's like, what can you do? It's in the script. So that's why it happened. And so this guy's going back and forth about, like, well, this one is like this, but it's this one, it's the precursor of this, and he's just tying himself into all kinds of knots about it. And I'm like, first of all, there's a name I have for people, not this guy, because this is a nice guy, and I don't know if that's just because he seems closer to my age. He's younger than me. I can tell that he is because of the things that he mentions that he thinks were great when he was a kid. It's always stuff that was like, oh man, I was already well done being a kid when that stuff happened. So, but his sensibilities seem similar to mine. Like, I kind of relate to him. So, but the tripping out about the canon, I don't relate to with anybody. But he's one of the nicer people that do it. I have a name for them because I think these particular people affect whether stuff gets made or kept on the air, or whether it's liked, and all of this stuff that I think is so unfair and wrong. So it's unfortunate, but I call these people the canon Nazis. They are sticklers for canon, and if you try to introduce something that is not to their liking, they are terrible, and they'll launch a whole campaign of each other. And that's what I mean by, like, they can affect whether something stays on the air or gets on the air. It is not cool because, okay, so here's an example of what I think canon Nazis are capable of. The Disney Star Wars network came out with a series called The Acolyte. The Acolyte got to have maybe one little stupid short streaming season that they do now, like with 7 episodes or something. Just, we are actively paying you money for you to shortchange us, short shrift. You're ripping us off. Seasons used to be, I know the whole framework of actors and projects has changed, but darn it, that's a ripoff. 7 episodes, come on. Complaint registered. Oh yes, please look at my sign while I'm about to spoil the shit out of something. So, The Acolyte. To be honest, I didn't really care for the main characters. The story was interesting. But, I didn't have... That was like probably all of the kind of problems I had with it. The canon Nazis, though, were like, oh, they're girls, I don't like them, their story is stupid, why are they this, why are they that, and none of it, I don't think it was genuine. I think the real problem was that the stars were black girls, and can't have that. And I think that's what it was, honest to goodness. And black and girls, like the combination of the two or the two together, like whatever it is, they just came down hard on those characters. So I was like, well, the problem with that is, and then the show ended, like, I don't know why people listen to that, but I guess people got scared to watch it, like the canon Nazis were going to come to their house and spank them or something. But the show got canceled, or maybe it didn't get watched, or maybe the characters, for the reasons I mentioned, like, tanked it, but I don't think the canon Nazis helped. And so my feeling about the show was it has potential. Let's see where it goes. Because it was only, like I said, that little rip-off of a mini-season. And if you've watched television for longer than streaming has existed, you will know that it takes more than the first episode for something to catch, for it to land, for people to decide if they even like it or not. And also, let the story develop. They didn't let anything happen. So that story, it had many ways it could have gone. Although I didn't like the way they killed off Carrie Ann Moss right away. Like, that was a draw for me. But that is why I call them that. Because they just come along and ruin it for everybody else. Me. They come along and ruin it for me. So, back to this guy, the watchtower guy. He is like having all these issues with the continuity of the canon, and my feeling is that, first of all, something like Superman or Batman is an old property, and by old I mean it was created when there was still a 19 in the date, and around World War II time era. So it goes way back. And over that time, the creators, the originators have passed away. I think all of them are gone that would have invented Superman and Batman. The original creator and the creator that claimed to be the creator who actually wasn't. I believe that would be Bob Kane. Or Bill Finger, rather. And then you have the people that write the scripts, that go along with the artists. And those change over the years. And so they're going to be affected by their personal lives. They're going to be affected by the cultural time of the artwork being produced. So many things are going to affect, like, what a comic does from its inception till now. There's just so many variables, and so you got to keep that in mind for one thing. Like, nothing is going to be anyone's idea of what was good way back when, now, whatever. It's like we just have to at some point agree that, okay, we want to see this and we like it. Got to come to a consensus. So I'm watching this guy go through it and watching this stuff, and like, none of it's real, by the way. It's all fiction. Although I have some thoughts on how fiction-y the fiction is. I think it's fiction based on reality, and you're like, what reality, when, and where? Exactly, but I still think that. Like, I feel like if you watch a sci-fi show, something in that is some type of exposure to some reality of the story, some technology, some race, some incident in space having to do with space. It's astronauts, spaceship drivers, whatever you want to call them. It's fiction, sure, but I think that even, and I'm not saying that they're writing, the people like creating this stuff or hiding the fact that they're like ETs or something. I think that we get creative material, well, through inspiration, and however that works, because that's subjective as hell. I think inspiration looks different for every single person that lives. So, yeah, go ahead and try and label it further than that. Good luck. But, that right there, too, is going to influence the way a story is told. So I keep those things in mind when I'm thinking about how the story is changing and how it's matching up and how it's not, with 3 different genres of like time and space of a comic property. So I was just like, you know, I kind of had this insight that, like, even though all of that stuff that I just mentioned is not real and kind of fiction-y, but it's not. It's like a metaphor, and it's probably exposure, like I said. But also, it's like life, if you think about it. But, you know, first of all, in a comic, the uncertain nature of things and stuff just randomly happening, like disastrous, destructive, crazy shit coming out of nowhere, is how comics, like, that's the comic landscape. That's, I don't know what the questions this guy was having were about. Like, that's the world of comics, no matter what format. It's unpredictable. It's uncertain. That's the draw. And it also reminded me of a real life thing, soap operas, which they do the same thing. They have dead people coming back. They have sudden twins. They got evil twins. They got paranormal stuff. It's not that different, is it? But the format's hella different. So it just made me think, you know, that's not really unlike life either, actually. You can try, and right now, the current time is a perfect example of this. You can try and control your existence. Good luck trying to control reality, because you are competing with billions of other people that are also trying to control reality. When it works and it's not chaotic, I think, is when subconsciously we collectively come to a consensus, and that's how we have, like, calm or status quo or something like that. But that's not really right now. Not in the United States. Not anywhere, really. I mean, there's flooding and disasters and things happening, like, beyond proportions that we've seen before, and that's not random. And also not funny. But anyway, that was my conclusion. The comics is not really, like, everything gets righted, right with an R, like, corrected. No matter the incontinuity, everything gets fixed. And you might as well include the soaps in there too. Also in life, things mess up, sometimes really chaotically, really destructively, really bad. You know, they happen for a reason, actually. And I'm just going to say this and before I finish up, that one of the things recently that's happened for a reason that I don't think, well, the cause of things that happened for a reason, I don't think was happy with the outcome of this thing, which I'm going to say now was COVID. That gave us an opportunity to have like almost everything that overstimulates us shut off. We had a period of rest and renewal. So many of us fought it. Some people had such a hard time with it, they suicided, which is insane. Like, but it was too much time on their own for those people. And that's one of those situations, like with the birth contract, pre-contract thing, that you try not to get so upset when people leave in whatever form, because they have already elected to go before any of this started happening. And I want to interrupt myself right here to quickly say that after I made my last video, I realized that I was doing something, I've probably done it before many times, and I was talking about the birth contract thing, but I was in a hurry and I wanted to finish what I was saying, but I realized in retrospect the way that it was coming out probably did not at all sound the way I wanted it to. I think it probably sounded like I was being disrespectful of the idea, and that like I was minimalizing it as if it's not something crazy remarkable and interesting. And so the reason why I would have sounded like that is, like I said, I was in a hurry, but my feeling about it, you might have noticed I talk about it a lot, is because I 100% believe in it. I do believe that before we're born, the whole life gets laid out by you and whoever you're going to come in contact with in that life in any way, shape, or form. And I know that's a mind-blowing concept, but I think I don't think it's true. I believe it to be the case. So, back to what I was saying. I think that, especially right now, we have a feeling of unreality and of the, is this really happening? Like Trump miming filleting the microphone. I was listening to that part of his speech and I didn't understand what he was saying there. And also, when he demonstrated it, I was like, are you saying that's something you did? Because you acted that out really well. It was a very strange moment, but he has been providing no end to those, and also like linguistic fugues and things that have been funny and interesting and sad. And because I just feel like in 3 more months the guy's not going to be able to speak at all like regular. He already is having such a hard time. That must be so terrible to go through when you think that you're good and perfect and beautiful and awesome, and you try to talk and you sound broken and messed up and mentally ill and everything else. Like, it's got to be hurting that ego, that very famous Trump ego. So I feel bad that he's going through that, and I also feel bad that when he's going through stuff and feeling bad, he tends to lash out. So hopefully, I don't know, he won't feel the need to do that. There's enough going on right now, in my opinion. So I did pull some cards, but I'm not really going to read them. I'm going to read these 4 that I pulled. I didn't look at them. I just pulled them, so we'll see what happens here. Oh, that's not the first one. So the first one is, life is a balance of holding on and letting go. Stay steady, go with the flow, do the right thing. Here is what the card looks like. This is from the Sacred Soul Messages deck. And the balance of holding on and letting go. for some reason that made me think of the balance between so-called fiction and so-called reality, because I say so-called because if we pre-arrange our life from a pre-life place and or setting, that should tell you right there about the reality of this place, the fictionality of this place. So it's kind of ironic to me that the guy would get so wrapped up in the continuity and canon of the comics, or the ones that do like the live action stuff, the Star Wars and the Star Trek and all of the other, you name it, of that genre. You can't get real upset about I mean, come on, it's like some kind of Escher thing that you're trying to. You can only think about traversing something that Escher made. Here we get to traverse the Escher in this kooky fictional reality matrix role-playing mind blower. Next card I pulled was this one. And when I pulled it, I guess I did look at him, because when I pulled it, I saw it and I thought, this is telling me to get my butt in gear and get to work on my side project there. So this card reads, when you start to walk the way appear, the way appear, the way appears, the way appears. Once, like I was saying, once I get rolling, it's gonna happen. There's so few steps to it. I've already sort of peeked ahead. Anyway, taking steps, beginning again, creating the life you truly want. Well, that was the goal. I definitely wanted to have all the agency I could possibly get my hands on going forward. And I have to admit, even though my feeling about, well, anyway, I just think, like, if it doesn't go the way I would prefer, not Trump, then I need to, like, pad my ass, because he's going to take away my income. Okay, so, okay, this is kind of disturbing that this was the next card, and I was just talking about Trump. That's the illustration. I don't know if you're familiar with that, but it looks an awful lot like the SS from the Nazis. So I don't even know what the heck's coming on this. So the card reads, raise your words, not your voice. Okay. The rain grows flowers, not thunder. Alright, okay, now this makes some sense. So you know how I haven't finished reading it, but I'm just going to talk about this. Everyone's talking about how Trump is a Nazi, or he loves Hitler, or he's into all of these dictators. And I did tell you, like, what this symbol reminds me of. It's not exactly the way the SS insignia appears, but the lightning bolts are the same. So that's what made me think of that. But it says here, raise your words, not your voice. Talking about Trump, something I just watched yesterday and a different one today were doctors talking about the quality, how the quality of Trump's ability to speak and make speeches has declined over time. They had like graphs and charts and everything and comparisons. So the thing that really stuck on me was that they, particularly these doctors, mentioned that he was becoming more profane, he was talking longer, and then the other dementia stuff, which I'm sure enough of us have been around somebody that has it, that we know that they will ramble, they can't focus and like maintain concentration on what they're talking about with you. Like they can't like concentrate on one thing, or they'll ask you the same thing over and over and over as if they didn't ask you just 10 seconds ago, which I mean, it's crazy to experience, and they just keep doing it, and it doesn't seem like they can stop. I just wonder what's going on in their mind. Anyway, raise your words. So maybe the profanity and the name calling and the disparaging is not the way to go. I just have reassured people recently that if he continues talking the way he talks, and his surrogates just barreling in his path behind him, or even accelerating in front of him to be completely destructive, I'm not worried about. I just feel like if they keep on, they're making Kamala Harris seem like the more viable option, and Tim Walz, because, like, I don't know, I'm tired of meanness and like putting people down and finding stuff wrong with people and getting rid of people. It's like, when I start to feel like that, I feel like I need to do some work, not get rid of the other people and blame other people for stuff. I don't think that's the way it works. And I think that those low vibration energies of talking about people and having those feelings about people are not productive. I don't feel like they will grow flowers. So the rest of this is still the top part, okay? Not even getting to the other part that's a different color. The rain grows flowers, not thunder. So, I know that little kids and little animals flinch and cringe when you're too harsh and you're too loud and you're too mean. I think that's what I'm getting at here in every way that I just said it. So I'm just going to read the whole top part of this again. Raise your words, not your voice. The rain grows flowers, not thunder. So tone it down. Keep it light. Keep it sunny. And if you're going to rain, make it a light. Make it a sprinkle. And the rest of the card says, make peace. Have empathy. Show kindness. A sprinkle is a soft, kind rain. Don't be gross. I know the other associations you could make with the word. That is not what I mean. So just get your mind out of the gutter. And the last one is, I'm just going to show you the illustration. It's a compass. It reads, let yourself be drawn in by the pull of what you truly love. Divine purpose, mission in life, be guided. Let yourself be drawn in by the pull of what you truly love. I don't know why the comic books and the space operas make me so happy, or just calm even. I'm not sure. I want to say I've had an experience previous, like in another life previous to this one, where I experienced something happening in those shows. I don't remember. Was I a superhero flying around? I don't know, but that'd be cool. Helping people, saving people. I don't know. I mean, Superman gets a bad rap for being a dork, but Batman's the same kind of dork. He's just, I don't know why Superman's not as cool as Batman. Maybe it's the black. I don't know. But that is kind of like a reason to be, your reason for living. Like all the other stuff, of course, you're going to have, parents and siblings and jobs and school and partners and, spouses and so on. But everything that you live in and with is an opportunity to be of service. That's what we kind of all need to find our way to, because when we are all doing that, we're like loving each other, we're showing empathy for each other, we're caring about what happens to the other person, and less so about what happens to us first, which is kind of where we are right now. And I feel like that's the problem. We need to find our way back to us and make it less about we. And it's unfortunate that the we being successful and the we being the desired effect is kind of what we've been programming ourselves to believe, even as, you know, capitalism is tearing us apart and breaking us down. And if you want to see an extreme view of like what capitalism and greed can do, I'm gonna link this channel that this I think he's like an immigrant. Well, actually, I know he's an immigrant. He and his family immigrated when he was a child from China, and he's been linking videos that are not what you're going to see on television, and you're not even really seeing it on like YouTube channels, on like alt news channels. This guy is communicating directly with Chinese people, and Chinese people that are going online there and using their social platforms and showing reality and showing a lot of ways that they're restricting it and banning and canceling so many things. And I want to just make sure I say this in one last place. Remember how much Trump admires Xi, and see how Xi's country is in reality. And know that it's not that different from, if you'll remember earlier this year, there was a delegation from China going to San Francisco. Prior to that, San Francisco was like the pus oozing sore of this country. And that was because of the homeless population who are they have substance problems, they have mental health issues, and they don't have facilities, and you expect them not to be feral people, and they just got, I don't know what they did with them, but they just cleaned up the Tenderloin, which is like a bad area of town anyway, where they all lived, and it was like this artificial thing. And that's also what China does, and this guy's videos prove it. Like, it shows China with its pants down. So, and it's not like I'm like proud and happy about this. It's terrible what's happening to those people there and what they have to put up with, and how you just have to look at these videos. But let's just say you think fake news is a big deal. You should see what's fake there and how freaking dangerous it is. Like, fake news is dangerous, and it's words that people here take and run with, but this is way worse. They don't get to act out the way we do, and it's actually the government, like, well, acting out against the subjects, the people of the country. And I'm just saying, please look at this and just see that this stuff, the way these people are treated, the way they live, Trump admires that. So I know this is late in the game to show it, but what the hell? There it is. So, well, that took a right turn. But also, life doing that life thing of being unpredictable and suddenly showing you what you were not expecting. So perk up. I would say, I would advise you, please take a look at this stuff. It's very eye-opening. Okay, the China stuff. The other stuff, I guess that's subjective. That's just my opinion, but life is unpredictable. Don't be surprised, especially right now, when stuff starts doing things you were not expecting. I think the expected things are becoming things of the past. I think that's what a lot of us are having an issue with. I get it, but you know what? It's not the first time it's happened. Stuff's changed in all of our lives before. It's just that a lot of things, I think, are trying to change at once, and people resisting it, and people going with it, and people being subsumed by it. It's creating all these emotions that are, it's like I said, the energies are crazy right at the beginning, didn't I? I hope you're all doing well. Thank you and good night.